What's going on, YouTube? So this is a review of Superman, the Man of Tomorrow, the latest DC animated extended universe movie, or however the fuck you want to say it. So starting off, this is a spoiler. So if nobody has seen it, or if you're interested in seeing it, then I would advise that you click off the fucking camera right now. So basically, starts off with a scene from Clark's childhood when he's watching a scary movie about an alien disguising himself as a human, and a female figures it out, and since he realizes the cat's out the bag, he reveals himself to her and scares the living shit out of her. Now, the kid that he's watching it with is laughing, right? But he starts to cry. So this shows that from a young age, he knew, like really young age, that he knew that he was from another planet. So Martha and Jonathan both told him at a young age. Okay, so I like that aspect. It was a very interesting aspect at a very young age, like to hit a child like that, just to understand what that scene meant for him. You just didn't know at a young age. So I like that aspect, right? He shows a young Jonathan picking him up from the house because the mother of his friend is calling him and telling him to pick him up because your son's a bitch. So I like that aspect. It was very interesting dynamic. I'm glad they started off with that. They showed a scene next where they're worrying about why they told, or Martha is like, I shouldn't have told Clark where he was from. From the beginning, I shouldn't have told him. I don't want him to feel different. But Jonathan is taking the tough approach and is basically saying that he is different and we have to deal with it, right? He has to accept the consequences and embrace it, which I like that very much. And you show like a device, which I've never seen this fucking device before. Some triangle stuff. This must be a part of the DC Rebirth, where basically it's a piece from a ship that's basically like an archive. When he's a kid, he's throwing it and it accidentally opens up. He didn't do it on purpose, and it shows a lot of stuff. Then it cuts to adulthood, right? And it cuts to adulthood, and he is tying his bow tie. He's tying his tie for the Daily Planet because he's about to go and help out on a launch site, help the Daily Planet by giving them coffee and basically being a bitch, you know what I'm saying, for the other reporters that are actually doing reporting on the latest launch in space, funded by LuthorCorp and Star Labs and Vanity Lab. So I like that. So it cuts to that. It's very interesting. There's a scene also where Martha is on a conference call with Clark, and also Jonathan is there as well, and she holds up a newspaper and says, should we be worried? Because there is a picture of a flying man, and the title actually says flying man on the newspaper, and obviously we see that's Clark, right? Now from that scene, I paused it and I was like, hold on, what the fuck is he wearing? Because I was interested in the suit that he wore the first time, because I knew he was going to wear the Superman suit the first time in this, just from how it went, right? So it was like a fucking jacket, right? So we cut past all that. We go to the launch site, right? So he's the coffee boy. He's handing people coffee. Lex is over there talking a bunch of shit, talking about this is because of me and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. I'm wondering where Lois is, right? I'm wondering where the fuck she is. I don't know where the fuck she is. I'm wondering where she's at. Clark meets a janitor, some random janitor that starts coughing or starts yawning, excuse me, because he's tired from working all those shifts or all these long shifts. Clark basically decides to give him a coffee to help out, right? And this character is going to be an intricate part in it turns out going to be an intricate part in the movie later on, right? So Lois appears out of nowhere. Apparently this is the beginnings for Lois as well. Lois is not established in the Daily Planet either, although Clark seems to be already established before Lois was. So Lois basically is called out by Lex. Lois was in the back, right? Hands in her pockets, not wearing the usual Lois Lane attire that you would see that she would wear in the Daily Planet. Obviously, she might get that later on, or she might keep she was wearing like a jacket and some jeans, very casual looking, you know, and she looked kind of kind of mean, not to mess with, which I guess is understandable for an army brat. If she still is an army brat, I don't know. I haven't read the DC Rebirth. I have not. So she's walking down, and Lex is like, this is the latest recipient of the journal scholarship. So Lex granted her scholarship. He's the reason why that she was able to come to that conference. Anyway, but basically Lois, being Lois, accuses Lex of fraud, and basically holds out her phone and shows a recording, or has the crowd listen to a recording of Lex basically saying that he put the president in the office and that everything was a fraud and all that stuff, and this launch isn't legitimate or something along the lines of like that. Lex is exposed to the world and all that stuff. He tries to run, but then the police get him. So that impressed people, obviously. Impressed the chief editor of the Daily Planet, and that's how she becomes the Daily Planet. Now, what happens at the launch site, right? The missile launches. Obviously, something goes wrong. Okay, so Clark sees it. He goes. Now, I see him flying in the sky. It's a far out shot. Then they zoom in, and this motherfucker is wearing an aviator suit. Aviator suit, I mean, I understand he had to wear something to protect his identity. It's understandable that his first suit, he wanted to wear a mask. Even though the Clark Kent persona, I don't think... Well, how they made it in this movie was the Clark Kent persona was basically... The glasses, anyway, was instilled in him as a kid. He was wearing glasses as a kid. So what it makes me seem to believe is that from a kid, he was wearing glasses. So he didn't decide to don the glasses when he became a Daily Planet. He'd been wearing the glasses, because the scene when I was talking about in the beginning, when Martha was like, I don't know why we told him, we shouldn't have told him, he was wearing glasses. So the rebirth, which is interesting concept to it. So basically he doesn't have to adjust. He's always been the nerdy Clark Kent. So it wasn't really like an adjustment for him, which it makes sense. So yeah, so he's wearing an aviator suit, like, you know, a cap, some sweatpants, something like that. He saves the rocket ship and sends it off into space. And when he's in space, I guess that's when he discovers that the sun is the reason why he has his powers, because he goes up into space and he's looking at the sun, and you can see the glow. They kind of animated the glow to represent the power that the sun is giving him, and he's smiling at it like, wow, what a good discovery. So he discovers that his powers come from the sun, right? So it's interesting to, you know, okay, so I didn't expect him to learn flight in the beginning of the movie. I expected them super strength, super speed, all that. I didn't expect the flight aspect to already be in there, right? I didn't expect that at all. But it was interesting that he already knew how to fly. He already, like, you know, knew all his powers. He showed X-ray vision, so laser vision, obviously super strength, super speed, all that stuff. So he has all his powers. So I'm assuming that he went through trials, kind of like the TV show Smallville, where he was going through stuff to know his powers and whatnot and stuff like that. So yeah, so he had flight. So he discovered that he was powered by the sun. He just kind of soaked up there for a little bit, and he relies on that discovery throughout the movie, right? Now, I'm not going to break down every single scene in the movie, because obviously that'll be a long video and that'll be boring, but that's just how it starts. So basically the janitor that he gives the coffee to, basically turns out to be a villain later on in the movie. So how everything kicks off, right? Without going into breakdown, you know, whatever for every scene. Okay, so Lois ends up the Daily Planet. Clark likes her. Lois is like, you know, blowing him off. She took down Lex Luthor. Now she's trying to take down Superman. She's the one that gave Superman the name Superman, obviously. We all knew that. That didn't change. You know, and she's also investigating Batman too, because there's a scene when Lois is trying to fix the copier or the printer, and Clark walks in, but she leaves and accidentally leaves the files that she printed out, and Clark sees that she has a picture of Superman with notes on it, and then she has a picture of Batman with notes on it, saying cool cake. Batman's referenced here and there in this movie. Obviously, he's leading up to the next movie. Obviously, it's going to be Batman, which is a surprise. It's not Batman after the Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. I'm surprised it wasn't Batman they released, but whatever. All right, so here's the thing. So the janitor becomes Parasite. We all know Parasite. Parasite is basically energy vampire. He sucks the energy out of everything. You know what I'm saying? Electricity, people, all that stuff, mostly people. You know, so he becomes Parasite, and how he happens is Lobo, the immortal bounty hunter, which I didn't know about the immortality part, but you find that out later in the movie. He's immortal. Comes in trying to get Superman for a bounty. It doesn't work out. John Jones reveals himself the Martian Manhunter in that whatever. Even though you see him kind of beforehand, but you don't know exactly who he is because you see a guy stalking Clark, watching him and stuff like that. You know, it's a dude in a black trench coat with a black hat. I didn't know that was John Jones at first. You know, I should have guessed it, but it was John Jones. So John Jones reveals himself, help Clark out. Clark goes back. You know, Clark gets beat up a little bit. Goes back up to the sun to rejuvenate, finally takes down Lobo. Lobo is held at Star Labs and all that stuff. But in the midst of that battle, Lobo accidentally releases a chemical agent. Well, it wasn't an accident. It was a bomb that he purposely threw, and it took over the janitor's body. All right, I forgot the janitor's name, forgive me. And basically, the bomb basically sucks all the energy out the room. So he was trying to take all the energy or all the lights or whatever out the room. But that bomb fused with that janitor's body, and that's how he become Parasite. That's where his powers come from. And he gets crazy and all that stuff. You see him in the hospital, you know, whatever. He's dead at first, but then he just wakes up in the middle of the hospital bed and accidentally or purposely, I'm not sure, takes the energy out of everybody in that room and all that stuff. He looks crazy and whatnot. His wife and his daughter, his wife's pregnant, by the way. He's waiting outside, waiting for him to get out the recovery. And they never know that he walks out the door because he's wearing a coat. Because after he sucks the life out of everybody, he gets a trench coat, walks out the room, and basically, you know, the wife have her head down so she didn't see it. So, Parasite and Lobo are the enemies, right? The confidant to help out with this, Parasite, because Parasite is basically blown out of proportion from what we're used to. Like I said, I don't read DC Rebirth, so I don't know. But Parasite is basically OP, alright? The motherfucker becomes the size of Godzilla in this fucking movie. Has powers beyond, I don't understand how he obtained those powers. In one scene, it looked like he let out a roar, but it was actually sonic waves. Kind of like the villain Banshee does, right? But they only show him sucking the powers of Superman, the powers of Martian Manhunter, right? And the powers of humans, right? That's all they show. So that's all they show. And like, so I don't know if they were insinuating that he came into contact with Banshee. He came into contact with other people. He might have, because there's one scene where he's small, right? Where Parasite, he's small. He actually uses the Martian Manhunter's abilities and turns invisible and goes inside his apartment and watches his wife and daughter eat breakfast, right? He comes out of invisibility for some reason. The daughter sees him. Doesn't recognize him obviously because he's a purple monster at this point. Look like a fucking dinosaur. She screams. He goes back invisible and leaves the apartment. It's all sad and shit. And then the next time you see him, he went from a normal size to the size of Godzilla. I think that they purposely did that shit. They basically emulated what Godzilla's structure looks like, right? More so the Godzilla from like 2004. That Godzilla, the one that had like the long face with like kind of like a lizard, like more like a lizard, like that type of Godzilla. They basically emulated that, right? So yeah, so that they just made him OP, right? Now, you know, this stuff I'm gonna skip. I'm not gonna get into detail. Basically, he gets the Superman suit from Martha, right? Martha gives him the suit. Makes it out of the baby the cloths that were covering him when he came from Krypton down here. Obviously, that was from the old one as well, so that was a surprise. So he gets the suit from that. She adds the cape because she thought it was cool on Batman, because Batman's already established before Superman. Batman's already established. They got newspaper sightings of him and all that stuff. She sees the cape that Batman wears and decides to add a cape to Clark's outfit, right? She thinks it's cool. Okay, so she gets the suit from that, and then the next scene you see him wearing the suit. She helps Lois. He helps Lois out because Lois interviewing Lobo in one of the containment cells, and Parasite confronts him. Right? Parasite confronts him and is like, "What the fuck did you do to me?" Because it's Lobo's fault. Attacks Lobo. Parasite gets knocked out. by all the energy that he absorbed from the cell that Lobo was in. Lobo walks out. Parasite leaves as well. And that's the first time you see Clark in the Superman suit when he's saving Lois from all that stuff. You know, he got the curl in his hair, all that stupid shit. It was interesting, it was cool and all that stuff. They kind of, I liked the design from the New 52 kind of, sort of, but I think they were going back to the classic, which is understandable, you know, whatever. So that's the first time you see him wear the suit. And he has a lot of help in this movie, like I said. And at the end of the movie, he actually has Lex Luthor try to help him. But obviously, as we all know, they didn't change that. I really thought the way they set it up was Clark gets drained by Parasite in a fight, along with Martian Manhunter dying, or it was an illusion that Martian Manhunter put in Clark's mind and also in Parasite's mind. He made an illusion in their mind that he actually was set on fire and burnt to death, which I knew wasn't true because he's a fucking Martian. He ain't gonna burn to death, even though fire is his weakness. I knew he didn't just burn to death that first movie because they gotta establish the Justice League. So you can't have the Justice League without Martian Manhunter. He's established all that shit. So he gets drained by Parasite. He needs to go to the sun. He understands that, but he doesn't have enough energy to fly towards the sun. So what does he call? He calls Lex Luthor, who's currently in jail. Lex Luthor somehow gets out of jail by something called a day pass, which is some made up shit that only rich motherfuckers can benefit from, right? So he does that, right? And all that stuff, you know, whatever. He says, Clark, I'm not gonna send you. Now he doesn't say Clark. He doesn't know he's Clark, but he says, Superman, why do you need my help? Clark's like, because I'm drained. He's like, I'm not sending you because you don't know anything about space travel, right? But he decides to help him. Turns out Lex hired Lobo. After Lobo escaped from the Parasite encounter, one of Lex's guys found Lobo, right? And hired Lobo. Lex hired Lobo to be his whatever. So it's Superman, Lobo, and Lex Luthor against the Godzilla gigantic Parasite, right? What their plan is to draw the Parasite in by taking all the power from the city and then putting the output, increasing the output in the power plant. So Parasite sees one big glowing section of the city, which is the only glowing section. So it works. He comes out the water. He's Godzilla size, like I said. So this motherfucking Lex, Lobo, and Superman. This is the most help I've ever seen Superman have. It almost like they decreased how powerful he is. I understand he got sucked by Parasite, right? But even before then, it didn't seem like he was that powerful as he usually is or is usually made. I understand this is an origin story and whatever, but he's still Superman, you know? They're trying to make him more relatable, like Batman. People like Batman over Superman because he's more relatable. They don't like Superman because he's OP and whatever. I understand that, but it was just a different pace, which you know, it was cool. You know, it was interesting to see, an interesting dynamic, an interesting change. So basically, Lobo dies in the midst of that because he blows himself up after Parasite grabs him. This is where I was like, what the fuck? Did he really just sacrifice himself? And I was like, that can't be it. And then you find out later on in the movie that he's immortal, that he can regenerate and shit, right? In the midst of the battle, Lex turns on Clark and not only takes out Superman, Clark, Superman, the same person, but he doesn't know he's Clark. He uses a kryptonite gun to take down Parasite, but also takes down Clark as well. He shows his true colors. But then Martian Manhunter comes to save the day. You know what I'm saying? Comes to save the fucking day. And basically stops Lex from killing Clark. Or Superman. Same person. Stops him. So he comes and saves the day and all that stuff, you know, whatever. And speaking of Martian Manhunter, Martian Manhunter actually went to the farm where Clark grew up and confronted Jonathan and Martha and was like, where's your son? They lied and say they don't know where he is. And then he decides to read Jonathan's mind. Then Clark comes out of nowhere and tries to punch him from behind. And then they end up fighting in the air. And it's just cool how like effortlessly John is just dodging this motherfucker. They made John like kind of badass. Like, and then Clark punched him, right? And he just did like this. And I'm not sure Martian Manhunter can do that to the Man of Steel. Which is why, one of the reasons why I said that they downgraded Clark's powers. to try to make it relatable, which I understand, right? I understand, but at the same time, I don't feel like Martian Manhunter should be able to do this. Like, he literally did this. Clark punched his hand, it didn't move at all. Effortlessly. I understand he's the beginning, I understand that, but still, like come on. I understand he's gonna get stronger over time, whatever, but come on now. Unless they're trying to make it seem like he hasn't had that much exposure to the sun as he should have, and every time he goes up in space and looks down on Earth and is hearing all the crimes, the sun's gonna make him more powerful, more powerful, more powerful to the point where he's good, okay? So, Lex turns on him, Martian saves him, Martian stops Lex, right? And the way that they stop the parasite, they never really stop him through physical force. They realize that every time the parasite sucks somebody's energy out of their body, he inherits their emotions and stuff like that. So, since Clark knows that he's had his energy sucked by him, he's like, okay, you got my emotions. You don't want to hurt anybody, right? This is before Parasite's trying to attack a bridge full of people. And on the bridge full of people, there's a mother and a daughter that resembled his wife and his daughter. And he looks at that, helps trigger an emotional response, even though he doesn't say anything, right? And in the midst of that, behind them, the power plant that they use to draw Parasite in is about to explode because they overloaded it with too much output, right? So Parasite looks at this, right? But Parasite, before doing that, I guess gets mad again and decides to hit the bridge because after, you know, all that emotional stuff like that, the people still threw shit at him. Like die freak and all that stuff, like fire bottles and shit, like humanity does, you know what I'm saying? And he was about to strike the bridge, but then Superman stopped his hand, and then as Superman stopped his hand, he got like some of the last energy that Superman had, and Superman just passed out, right? And as Superman is like dizzy and lacking energy, right? He tries to fly towards the power plant to try to stop their reaction, but he can't. Parasite looks at it, and I guess this is where it hits him. He uses Superman's flying ability, flies over to the power plant, absorbs the energy, and turns it basically into a statue that crumbles, and eventually he dies. You know, that's how Parasite ends. So Parasite basically is dead because he's absorbed so much energy from that power plant that he turned into an ash monster, like some ash statue, and he's just disintegrated. And that's basically where the story ends. It cuts to Lobo, Martian Manhunter, and Clark on top of the Daily Planet. They're talking and whatnot. Lobo's like, I'm about to go and stuff like that. But before he goes, he lets Clark and the Martian Manhunter know that you guys aren't the last ones of your kind. You know, it's all that stuff. Martian Manhunter follows him as he goes into space to try to find more Martians, right? And then Martian Manhunter's like, aren't you coming too? Don't you want to find more Kryptonians? Then Lois pops up on top of the Daily Planet, and he's like, my name's Superman. My people are right here. So basically, he's claiming Earth as his people. He's not interested well, not as of right now, into finding more Kryptonians. So that basically where it ends and all that stuff. Side for side, it was an interesting change in dynamic. He's more relatable, which I think is going to make him obviously make him more relatable. People are going to relate to him a lot more. He's obviously going to get stronger, I hope, from time to time, even though I feel like his power level should be a little bit more, even especially since he was already flying. All right, but yeah, that's the breakdown for it. It was interesting dynamic. I like the change in Lois. Lois she was the same, but not really, kind of. I didn't see Jimmy Olsen. The Daily Planet was basically the same setup and all that stuff. Jonathan and Martha were always genuine, hard life decisions and stuff like that. It was a good movie. Now, I've talked to you as a critic that's just viewing the movie from a fresh perspective and not letting expectations before the movie or my past affiliation with Superman have a lot of judgment into this movie. Just observing it as a movie and being a Superman fan, I watched it, and as the critic, it wasn't a bad movie or whatnot. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the take, this new take. Now I'm going to talk to you as a Superman fanboy, like a very, very Superman fanboy. Fuck this movie, all right? Fuck Superman wearing a goddamn aviator suit. First fucking time wearing this shit. What the fuck is that, all right? Fuck that. Second of all, fuck Martian Manhunter just being, you know what I'm saying? Like doing the Matrix on that. What the fuck is that? He should have felt something. Come on now. Like, for real, they just made him OP. Fuck Parasite being that powerful. What the fuck? Turning into a goddamn dinosaur. What the fuck is that? Parasite has... This is me allowing what I know about Superman, how it was, affect how I felt watching it. What the fuck is this? Being overpowered and shit. Parasite. Superman having all this help and he's Superman? Which I understand it would have been an interesting movie, but come on now. You had to go to Lex, which I guess started... I understand it started the relationship because without that Lex helping him, he wouldn't have shown his true colors or how he feels about Superman. So that's going to start that. Lobo? Okay. They downgraded the first major villain from outside to come in, whatever. Whatever. Lobo's cool. Immortality, awesome, whatever like that. Fuck the aviator suit. What else? What the fuck else? Clark wearing glasses as a kid. I like that. It makes sense. So he doesn't have to completely transform. You know what I'm saying? Because before, he wasn't wearing glasses as a kid. Am I wrong about that? No, he wasn't wearing no fucking glasses as a kid. I'll say that with confidence. But it pissed me off. It was a big change and it just pissed me off. They downgraded his powers. They downgraded how powerful he is. I understand it's the first movie, but goddamn, come on. You know what I'm saying? So, all in all, as the critic, I give that movie 7, 8 out of 10. As a fanboy that just it pissed off like initially this is how I felt, I give it a 4 out of 10, right? But all in all, combined together for fanboy whatever, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. It wasn't the greatest movie, but I understand the new take and all that stuff, but some things were just like whatever, and the ending was kind of abrupt and not satisfying at all. But yeah, so that's my review on the Man of Steel spoiler review. I know I broke it down scene from scene or whatever. I just wanted to, you know, just give a little bit of context and all that stuff before I went to fanboy mode and basically just shitted on a lot of parts. Alright, so yeah, post your comments down below. Let me know what you guys all thought. Alright, if you've seen the movie, let me know. If you haven't seen the movie, let me know. Sorry guys, my camera shut off. So yeah, just let me know if you plan on seeing the movie or not and all that stuff. You know, I just wanted to break it down a little bit. And then behind me are the skits that I have done. You can find it on my channel, alright? They're skits. I'm just trying to promote my skits. They're behind me. Just go to my YouTube channel, go to my YouTube page, and go to the playlist, and then go under skits. You'll find a majority of these, if not all of them, alright? I'm not sure how many went behind me as I was going, but this is just like a speculation and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So just check that out. The link will not be in the description for the skits. Just go to my YouTube page, go to playlists, and go to skits, and you'll find all of them, alright? Superman Man of Tomorrow is what it's called. You have to buy it on digital or rent it or whatever you want to do. I bought it. You know, I just wanted to have it in my archive. This is the first movie after Justice League Dark Apocalypse War for the animated universe for DC. Obviously, they're going to come out with more, and basically they're going to do what they did before, and they're going to form the Justice League after everyone's had their individual movies. I'm not sure if people like Cyborg is going to have a movie or Flash or whatever. I'm interested in seeing if Flash remembers how the world used to be, like it was like what happened in Flashpoint Paradox, which started the DC universe of New 52 with, you know, Darkseid and all that stuff. I'm interested to see if he remembers that at all. I hope it's Batman next. Judging by how they did Superman, as the critic, I'm interested in seeing the new take. If this is DC Rebirth, that's fine. I haven't read any comics, so I don't know. But I'm interested to see the new take on Batman, and if it judging, and as a fanboy, judging by how they did this, I'm kind of scared. You know what I'm saying? But Batman's gonna be badass regardless. You know what I'm saying? We're just gonna fucking see. But until next time, guys, stay blessed. All right, and stay safe. Deuces.
However you think normal is. This motherfucker had the audacity to walk out on me after the shit he's putting me through. Man, fuck this nigga.